Christine and possibly Florian in terms of establishing.
I think it's imperative that they work together.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's, you know, it's the feature site for the community center. If you're not looking at the whole picture, then we're,
Yeah.
you know, where are we?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Karen, is there a map of the community center site underneath that map or something with those paper clips on it? Is that?
That's very small.
No, there's gonna be a better map over there that have.
We can get you copies of what
Well, there
Flori's
was a map
drafted.
that had the circles on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That I was looking at.
Any other,
Yeah.
So there's, the only cost here to the municipality would be whatever our staff cost is in terms of preparing.
I would
documents or
think, yeah,
whatever.
I would think, I mean, at this point, I think that the cost that would be incurred by the municipality would be one to sort out what kind of insurance or liability issues would have to be addressed with School District 45. I don't know if it's as easy as an easement, you know, in perpetuity, a use easement for a field, and you know, whether you get absolved of liability or what has to happen to insurance packages, I just don't know that. But
Yeah.
at this point, in order to move things forward, we'd love a letter of understanding that says, yes, the municipality is in support of this, yes, the school district is in support of this, so that we as a soccer club can go to the next level, which is to start asking our membership and community members to raise money to do this, because until that step happens, there's no point in us going and talking to them, because if we don't have a project to dedicate money to, then there's no point in asking for it. So
why is insurance,
I have no idea. Like I would just say because of a liability issue, perhaps because of, you know, if there's
but
an
is there a
injury.
liability issue now?
Well, it's school, you're talking about giving municipal lands over to the school district, right? In terms of, because right now the grass field is.
Or we're just giving them an easement?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
We don't know exactly what that
We
is,
don't-
but
we
that's
don't know what the legal ramifications are of taking that little bit of municipal
I got
land.
it.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some could be some complications with it.
Yep.
So I've been saying all along, we have to make sure that the rec center, community center is sited so that we can expand the field. Parks and Rec was planning on doing that back in 96, 97. So time-wise, you're looking at the next,
It just needs to be done by as soon as possible, but I mean, in terms of worst case scenario, the league play starts up in September.
yeah. So then I guess the next question is, and that's why I was hoping I could see the map. I mean, is just some logistics about getting the dirt out early before we've actually start breaking ground on the community center and stuff like that, so there might be. But the other is, oh, damn.
I think in terms of the actual work and like how long it would take to actually do the work, it would probably not be a very long period of time. It could be as little as a week in order to actually do the work. And then what we would look to, once that were to happen, you'd have to look at sand and seeding, you know, in terms of getting the field playable. But the main bulk of the work, I think, could be done in a matter of days.
And the rest of the field can be usable while all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Except
The
for
fence
maybe
would
that
remain
1
in
week when you've got the
Yeah.
equipment there.
the
And
fence would
then-
remain in place until all agreements between municipality and school district were completed. I mean, I look at it from the perspective that you're going to have to move that fill in any event in order to create the community center site. So it makes sense to me to shift it, and you know, rather than trucking stuff from across the islands and we fill here and there, it's a benefit to starting a municipal project and, you know, achieving this goal of expanding the field.
And that is fill on that site?
Some of it's fill. I'm not sure how much is outcrop. You know, that would be on our, you know, we would have to talk to Metro Blasting, for instance, to see what the, you know, we just don't know at this point in time until we start scraping the land and finding out what's there. But then again, that's a benefit to the municipality and to the community as a whole, just because it's something that's going to have to be done in order to build a community center in any event. So in a way, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
So my last question was, so you talked about a letter of understanding, but would a council resolution supporting in principle the expansion of the field, and directing staff to work towards developing the appropriate agreements with the football club and the school district?
Yeah.
In the service agreement between the municipality and the school board, there was mention of improvement to turf fields and so on. And in that document, it states that there should be a letter from council that goes to the school district in order to facilitate that. So maybe we should instruct staff to move forward on that as well.
So you want a resolution in the letter?
Well, that's what it specifies in the service
Oh, we're
agreement.
talking about the joint use
The
agreement.
joint use agreement, yeah, pardon me, not service agreement, joint use agreement.
Well, maybe we can just put pursuant to the terms of the joint use agreement. Because of the resolution.
In terms of the fill, I think it all came from the soccer field originally.
Yeah,
It goes back to where it started.
yeah. I would support this completely. I think you guys should get going on it pending council's approval right away. So you get the seating done and so on, so it's in good shape for the fall. Have you run the numbers at all to figure out how much benefit it's going to be financially to the families that, like, because they're not going to be leaving the island?
Mike will tell you, it's, I mean, you start to crunch the numbers, if you're going full-time, every weekend, I would say it's approximately $3,000 to $5,000 a year, depending on what you're doing. Not just, I mean, if you go at the bare minimum, you just take the
You're
ferry.
talking about for a team or per family?
Per family, right? Because you've got ferry, and then you buy lunch, and then you know, what's your time worth, and all the rest of it. I mean, even if you go at the bare minimum, and you say that say 50% of your trips you're a walk on. Now the child doesn't get charged gracefully by BC Ferries. It's one of the fantastic things that they do for our sports teams is they allow the children to travel free.
Yeah.
But you've got lunches, you've got fuel, you've got your car that you've got to move over because your car, an adult, doesn't get covered by BC Ferries. So you've got that cost to incur. And when you play 25 games a season and 12 to 13, probably closer to 15 a season are off island.
But sometimes it can end up being like a 6-hour day too, right? Depending on when the game is. And sometimes the games are early in the morning, so you're getting the kids up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's fine. It's what you do. It's all part and parcel of what you do if you're going to have your kids in sports. At least it's not hockey.
So you cut it in half. So if you have a field here where they can play half the time, you take that number and you chop it in half.
But it's a substantial amount.
And that's why I think we should be moving on this right away. You know, a lot of us ran to get in to help get things like this going that are going to save time and money for families, so we can afford to live here and have a better family time.
Thank you. Karen?
I'm not clear of the financial implication to the municipality at this point. And if there is any financial obligation on the municipality's part, there's nothing in the budget for it. So any spending needs to be budgeted.
The proposed resolution I have
Covers
that.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
that's the point. I was waiting. So far, you're asking for support and you want to have the dirt, but no money?
No money.
Yeah, no money.
This is the first time.
So you're
You
pro.
need a coach.
We need coaches. We always look for more volunteers.
So you're not going to vote for it because you're suspect?
No, this is. I'm almost embarrassed.
I have drafted a proposed resolution that council approved in principle the expansion of the grass playing field subject to one, approval by School District 45 and an appropriate agreement between BIM and School District 45. Submission of a detailed concept and work plan to be reviewed and approved by the Manager of Engineering and Director of Community Services. No cost to be incurred by BIM. The field, can't even read my own writing here. The field improvements to be completed through donations to BIM and the work completed by volunteers. And lastly, investigation of liability insurance and legal issues.
Is that okay with you guys? Does that match what you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So just hold on a sec. So moved. So moved. Seconder.
I think
Hold on, folks.
the treasurer is just a little, or the chief financial officer is a little through donations. Can you read that paragraph again?
To BIM.
I just added to, no cost to be incurred by BIM. The field improvements to be completed through donations to BIM. And
To be completed by the football club.
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a donation to BIM. I mean, it's
The
us that
two
would be
trials.
working.
We'll
Yeah.
take all donations.
And more donations.
Oh, we're going to BICS.
just hold on a second. Karen, did you want to say something further? No.
If we're going to be writing checks and paying any bills, we need to put a budget, so that's all I want to clarify.
Okay. Hold on, stand up a second.
I'll come in.
Christine had a question.
Okay, Christine.
I'm just wondering, talking about Councillor Morris's comment around the joint use agreement and that first clause that's in the proposal, that, I mean, it does cover off in the joint use agreement about meeting with the school district and following through. It would be nice for that resolution to have a link with the joint use agreement, following the joint use agreements.
We could do approved by school district 45 and appropriate agreement between BIN and school district 45 per the joint use agreement. That'd be great.
You want to say something? No. Okay. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the resolution? Thank you. Unanimous?
Well, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thanks a lot.
great, guys.
Did you need that copy?
No, I got one. That's okay. Thank you. Oh, it's in the agenda packet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I think we should.
What's up next?
I think we should do more. Adam, do you want to speak first, or?
Adam, didn't you want to speak at the time that we were dealing with the Blue Water and Bowen Way water budget, rather than in advance?
Well, the thing is, how long is this going to take? I was originally expecting that this would be done half an hour ago. I will stay, but I did expect to be out here by 4.
Well, the next item of business is Kristen regarding the water and sewer budget.
Thank you. Part 2, Mayor Council. So I would like to present the utility, water and sewer portion of the budget for municipal budget 2012. So some common themes around the water and sewer utility costs that we're noticing system-wide across most of the systems is that fuel prices are significantly putting increased cost pressures on all of our systems. Secondly, hydro costs in those systems that have deep wells as their source are very noticeable. Tunstall Bay alone paid over $6,000 in hydro costs last year just to keep those pumps going. System-wide, we have implemented that all users will pay $15 per connection as a contribution to Bowen Island Municipality overhead. And as well, all users will be contributing $10 per year, and this is to fund the capital costs of vehicle replacement and small tools and equipment. So we take the money and we set it aside in our equipment replacement fund, and when the time comes to replace those small tools and equipment or purchase those new trucks, when we need to replace those little white pickup trucks, we have the money set aside to do that. Okay, thanks. Utility rates, 2012 and beyond. Increases are being recommended in most systems this year, and this is necessary to maintain or augment reserve levels to fund the future capital needs. And we also need, in most systems, are shifting our focus to shift to metered rate billing. And that is to be consistent with many conditions that are put on us for to be eligible to receive provincial grant funding. The province requires that we have active water conservation plan in place, and to show that we are actively managing consumption. Metered rate billing in across all our districts is likely going to be necessary. And as you'll see in some of the future slides, I think some grant funding is going to be pretty critical in making sure that we can move forward. Okay. Thanks. Kobe water operations. This year we are budgeting to collect $385,000 from user rates, and this is up from $270,000 last year. The costs in Kobe operations are $350,000 for admin and operations, and that also includes a one-time unusual item of $100,000. In Kobe, we have harmonized the rate structure. So we used to have commercial, private dwelling, second building, all kinds of different rate structures, one for the school, churches, and we've just decided to simplify that and harmonize that and set that at $600 per connection, and we will be implementing the metered overuse after 400 cubic meters per year.